Good evening. It is Wednesday night. It is time for West Ham Wednesday Night, a show I named myself because I'm a marketing professional. Wait, here comes Kostya. Here he is. There he is. He's back.
Yeah, I was trying to log into the chat.
Oh, got you. Oh, yeah, you don't want any part of those people. Let them do
Wow.
their thing.
I've never said any words on the chat before, so I figured it'd be nice to do it for once.
No, the chat is great. The chat's going to drive us tonight because I was just saying this show last Wednesday, for anybody who saw it, was I was a little unhinged. Well, Kostya was here and Rob was here. Sally was not here, unfortunately. But tonight I'm super low energy. I'm super chill for some reason. I think I'm just really tired. So I always say I'm not going to talk as much. But this time I mean it. So we'll start with our stuff we always start with, which is our website, AmericanHammers.net. It's great stuff out there you can buy. You can buy flags and stuff and banners and framed art prints. And I still want to I haven't gotten, I need to get my boys their West Ham Minecraft t-shirts. There's a little guy with a West Ham kit on who's a Minecraft guy. They love Minecraft. So, but I just bought them two gigantic goals for our backyard, which I was walking through my backyard today and I realized I don't think it's big enough for the two goals that I bought. So I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do about that. Anyway, yeah, if you want to be on the show, let us know. Check us out on social media, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. American Hammers TV, American Hammers Network. You'll find us somehow. We're American Hammer 3 on Twitter because I registered the Twitter name and I'm not very good at that. So that's why we're American Hammer 3 because it cut off the STV on the end when I did it years ago or a year and a half ago. So,
American Hammers was taken, right?
Do what?
Isn't American Hammers taken?
Yeah, American Hammers is taken. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So yeah, for people who are asking, yeah, this is the new studio. I used to do the show from the attic, but I've got my work computer and monitors and everything set up in my office space, which is down one level. So not the attic anymore. So you're getting a lot of. There's some West Ham stuff. It's just hard to see. There's like a Boleyn Ground street sign. There's a little picture of the Boleyn, and there's some Bruin stuff and some Rose Bowl TCU stuff and a George Brett photo. Anyway, a lot of stuff back there. And all my wife's books. All the books are my wife's books. They're not mine. I don't read books. Who reads books when you can do YouTube shows? Anyway, if you want to be on our show, let us know. If you want to buy stuff from the website, go buy stuff. I see the chat room filling in nicely. I see Wally and Gabe and Tebow. And who is Official Carpet? I don't know who that is, but I like the name. If you don't watch out, you're going to get snuggled by Mikel Antonio because that's his, that's what he likes to do. Anyway, so tonight, who do we have with us? We have Sally in Sacramento, who is about to leave Sacramento for too long, right? You were telling me?
Yep. Yeah, going back to Colorado sometime before the end of the year. Yep.
Going to go back to Denver. Sally has done his service in the Air Force and is going to be done in the summer. Go back to Denver, and I guess you're back in Boulder, right? Back at University of Colorado is what you said.
Yep, sure am.
Fantastic. That's awesome. The chillest campus in America, I think.
Yeah, in more ways than one.
In more ways than one. Yeah. Little Rocky Mountain High,
Right.
We got Rob, who is still in a hotel room in San Diego, sort of perpetually stuck in San Diego with the Navy. And Rob, you were saying that, but you're trying to get back to Hawaii, right? And then move to Japan this summer. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, stuck in a holding pattern right now since quarantine. So yeah, my family's still in Hawaii. I'm here in San Diego in this hotel room, as you can see. But I did take your advice from last week, and I did decorate.
Oh, excellent! Oh, that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
What is I can't. Oh, is that the GSB out scarf?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Here, bring it up closer. Let's see it. I've seen it, but I haven't really seen it.
Oh wow,
that's right. That's great. You did show us. That's fantastic.
What's the little caricatures on the sides there? Oh, that's incredible.
Oh wow,
that's awesome. Amazing. Oh wow, that is amazing. That's brilliant. I need to get one of those. Let's say the team, not the regime.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. That's fantastic. I love it.
You go hang up the decoration again.
Yeah, no, I need that. I need to get that behind me. And then Kostya in DC, how's it going, Kostya?
It's going really well. I'm
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty introverted, so like I'm good at staying in. I have plenty of video games, books, and I'm obviously watching as much Netflix as everybody else. I watched The Last Dance. I loved every minute of it. I've listened to some people criticize it, but I just was a sucker for it. It did it for me. So
See, I haven't watched it, and to be honest, I'm not like a huge basketball fan in general.
yeah,
And I watched a lot of basketball in the 80s when I was a kid. I didn't watch as much in the 90s. But everybody loved it. Anybody else see it? Rob or Sully, did you watch Last Dance?
I was waiting for all the episodes to get done so I could just kind of watch it all at once. So not
We're done
yet,
now.
but I plan on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can binge it. Yeah, that makes total sense.
I haven't watched it. I've been sticking to HGTV or the Food Network, just working up an appetite or looking
Oh, I
at
can't watch Food Network, man. I've been trying to lose weight again. I've been back on the weight loss program. I'm not touching Food Network. That's I mean, it's like watching porn if you're trying to be celibate. I mean, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Oh, that's
Right.
not really a great comparison, but you know what I'm saying.
Come on,
If
Liam,
you're
I'm talking to
if you're well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But if you are abstaining from sex intentionally, all right, it's not what you want to do. So while I'm sitting here trying to survive on like 1,500 calories a day or whatever it is, I'm not going to watch De Laurentiis or Guy Fieri whip up some 4 billion calorie meal on Food Network. Food Network, to me, I'd much rather watch Food Network than porn. It sounds much more appealing, but I'm going to stay away from them both.
What about Food Network cooked by porn actresses?
How has nobody done that yet? Is the question. Well,
Right.
somebody probably has.
That'd be
It's gotta on the
literal
internet.
food porn.
Yeah, it's got to be on the internet somewhere, right? There has to be. I mean, there has to exist.
Yeah, there has to be like a Hell's Kitchen where the man is like blonde Gordon Ramsay, and for some reason all the contestants are women.
Yeah, there has to be
I
something.
don't know. Like I'm just
It tells itself.
I'm not speaking from experience here.
like,
I mean, there's a lot of different.
I mean,
scenarios
shouldn't
you
they
could
at least wear like bibs or something? Because there's a lot of
do.
splattering.
Right? They've just got the bibs on. That's it. That's all you see.
Yeah, well, then that kind of largely defeats the purpose of it, if they're, But well, it's we'll workshop the idea. Let's do that. Let's chat room. To your assignment, except for Gabe, who's not old enough, is to is to figure out a way to come up with a pornographic food show that we will start running here on the network. Yeah, so. There is really nothing good among these books. Let me just say that My Sweet Wife is wonderful, but all of her books are about like theology and religion and so forth.
Oh, so those aren't yours; those are hers.
Those are all hers, all of them. Yeah, I have one little bookshelf downstairs that's mine that has 50, 60 books on it. My West Ham books and a few other things. And that's it. We have about 1,000 books in the house easily, and all the rest are hers. All the rest are hers, and they're all like history, theology. History is fine, but it's always history of like the church, So anyway, that's what you're looking at is her stuff. She has a PhD. She's very intellectual. She's very smart. She does not watch this show. So there's that.
So I have a book with me that I'm going to go help Adam out for the Hammer Shot show, and it is the West Ham quiz book. So I'm going to pull some questions.
Oh wow!
Charlie,
I was going to say you're going to help write the questions.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering if you were going to use that to cheat on the show. Like if you were going to be a guest on the show and just be flipping through it.
Google would be easier.
I mean, I would think so, but maybe you're an old school guy. I don't know. Maybe you really go through the book like in great detail. Yeah, I would think, but Google is not always right though. Sometimes stuff out there is wrong.
Yep.
But you can go to that transfer mark to that German site, knows pretty much everything. I mean, it's just you got to find it, but it's out there.
Yeah, they tend to undervalue transfers though.
Oh, very much so.
And I always hear, oh, he costs way more than on Transfer Market. I'm like, well, maybe they don't
but
know.
it's just like a dude who does that, right? I don't think there's like, it's not official.
Right.
or anything,
The evaluation, and then sometimes we'll be linked with someone and they'll be like, well, we can afford him because he's only 18 million on Transfer Market. I'm like, well, that probably means he's 45 million, but okay.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. French Revolution. You know what? That's not an uninteresting topic, Gabe, actually. You might have found it uninteresting as I think, junior high school, but it's kind of cool. It's not bad. It's plenty bloody if you like action. You know what I mean? It's a lot of heads chopped off, a lot of blood in the French Revolution. Yeah. But wait a minute. Focus on the Enlightenment. Well, whatever. Debo says I haven't seen Pornhub. Well, I don't know how he knows that. Actually, it's probably true. I probably haven't seen it, but I don't know. Maybe T-Bone knows more about the food porn than we do. Anyway, so I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Anyway, yeah, our show was kind of off the rails last week. This week we'll see how it goes. I don't have a great agenda, to be honest. You guys in the chat room, you want to send us stuff you want to talk about, then please do. We'll talk about it. I guess we could start by talking about the return of the Premier League, sort of. They're in training, I don't know, like, oh, it's PJ. And not a moment too soon. They're in training like 10 feet apart. Hey, PJ, how you doing?
Hello.
Hey, we've discussed absolutely nothing of any value so far.
Oh, okay.
So we've talked about Food Network and Pornhub and somehow merging these things together. I mean, this is
pulling his hair out the entire
we
time.
also talked about the paintings behind Lee, and I think
the
those do matter
the
quite a bit.
pictures, all my wife's books. They're not mine; they're my wife's. They're boring.
Okay.
The pictures in the background, all that stuff. So that's pretty much that's what. And I see you got. I thought you're a San Francisco person, but you got a bunch of KC stuff behind you. Is that not yours?
No, that's fine.
You live in KC.
I live in KC, and
Yeah.
I was never a soccer fan before we moved here. So when I became a soccer fan, I really just adopted sporting.
Oh, fair.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still kind of. I like the 49ers. So like when the Chiefs, came back and dominated the Super Bowl, I was just kind of like, eh. I mean, I wasn't like so devastated because it was like the Chiefs really, like they had gone so long. I didn't begrudge them winning.
Right. It's 50. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's certainly longer than I've been around.
Yeah.
A little much longer, but
like my first date with my husband was at a Giants game, and we went to a bunch of yeah.
the last time I was in San Francisco, this will tell you how long it was. The last time I was in San Francisco, that park was being built.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I drove past it. Well, I was with a friend. He drove me past it. He's like, "Oh, that's where the new baseball park's going to be," and it was like about halfway done. So
It's a nice park.
Get a chance. I have to go back. Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back. I would. It's probably about
Mm.
more than 20 years ago. I would say it was in the late 90s, maybe something like that.
Yeah. Are you guys
It's
seeing my
sneaky
cable
chilly too.
flickering?
You're flickering. No,
Hmm,
you are actually flickering.
That's not great.
I don't know why, but yeah, you're flickering a little bit. It must be your energy. It's like your
I'm like,
aura.
I got a lot of tension from wrangling some toddlers. It was bath night, so
Bath night. Yeah, yeah, I know how that goes.
yeah.
We have a pool in our house, which is very fortunate because it means for like the next 4 months there are no bath nights. It's just like- it's the
So that's
chlorine
cool.
bath. It's the chlorine bath.
Put the
It's fine.
bubbles in the pool.
They're not in school. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Nobody even knows like they're here. Yeah, so I get it. It doesn't bother me I'm okay with it. It's fine. All right. So Charlie wants to talk about Charlie Boy. Sorry, not Charlie, but Charlie Boy in Brooklyn wants to talk about the Bundesliga odds. I actually wanted to do a Bundesliga show, and I just haven't gotten around to it. We have a Hammers fan in Germany who is willing to do it, but the scheduling's kind of hard because it's a 6-hour time difference, and so. But maybe we'll do that eventually, where we talk about Bundesliga while it's that and the K League and the Belarusian League are like the only ones going. But
Yeah. Is
anyway,
it weird that I think that they should put a bunch of sex dolls in like all the games? It's like that Korean stadium.
Well,
When
they're really
I heard
like
about that-
expensive, so you can't really. It's not cost feasible.
a Pornhub subscription is cheaper.
I love it.
Pays for
That was
porn.
definitely the most like
We were socially
Korea thing I've
distanced,
heard.
and we're wearing
Right.
masks.
Right.
Now we just need our cardboard cutouts next to the sex dolls, and be like, "Yep, there you go, got a hot date."
There you go. There you go.
All right.
Now
I'm
wait,
gonna-
you
I'm
Sally,
looking
you
at
and
the camera for a second.
sure, Sally, you and Rob have been to Korea, right? Rob, you lived in Japan, so
Mhm.
you've probably been to South Korea, right? I would
Oh.
think.
South Korea many times.
Okay.
Really cool.
So how Korean is it to have sex dolls in the ground in the
It's no surprise.
Yeah,
It's. I mean, it's. I don't really know like how else to say it. Like, it's not unusual because it's not as if the dolls are doing anything they shouldn't have been doing.
Okay.
But the fact that they put those dolls in the stadium is no surprise. I mean, there's like,
Sorry.
this is gonna sound weird, but there's like hotels in Korea, right, where a lot of the rooms are made really nice for like escorting, if you will.
love hotels.
But yeah, love hotels. Thank you. And those rooms are the best rooms to stay in because they're big and they're cheap. And and it's not like
That's- you
you're
know
not
what,
doing
that's the way I
anything
like-
wrong
But
if
are
you
they
stay in
are they
those rooms.
clean? Are they hygienic?
Oh yeah, I mean they're very they're very well nice kept and all that
big and
stuff.
cheap is the way I like my escort, so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That's,
Right.
that's totally I can see that. Yeah.
So,
So-
it is kind of funny over there in like Japan and Korea, like the whole prudish sex thing that we have going on in the States. Like it's not there. Like there's old porn theaters, like they'll have the posters of the girls topless, like on the outside facing the street, and you're just like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool walking with my kid past.
I remember going to when I was in Naples years ago. I went to the seafood place, really fantastic seafood place, and this was like 2004 maybe. I mean, we're not talking ancient times, and it was right next to an old school porn theater, like legit, like posters, everything old school, like from the 70s in the U.S. old school porn theater. And I thought, well, I'd never actually seen one, right? Because I mean, basically everything's been online for 20 years or more, and I didn't really grow up in a place with a lot of porn theaters, so so I'd never really seen one. And I was like, oh, well, that's not true. Now Times Square in the late 90s still had all that stuff. When I moved to New York in the 90s, it still had all that stuff. But honest to God, I never went to those places. But I did see them. So, but yeah, Naples, it's probably still there, old school. It's a communal experience that way. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Although
that being said, I don't want to paint Koreans as like really pervy people. They're awesome, but it's just
Well, that's okay.
it just
Well,
wasn't a surprise. Like
I thought they should have kept the sex dolls. I mean, honestly, I don't see anything wrong with it.
I mean, if they've already got
Yeah.
them, I mean,
Right, they've
Right.
already got them. I mean, what's the
They get
difference?
a lot of money for those sex dolls to fill the stadium.
I was evidently they're not cheap. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a lot of expertise in that area, but yeah, I mean, why not? It's listen. I mean, it's better than having no crowd at all. It's better than the cardboard cutouts.
yeah, you know
That's
what they should do
something.
with the cardboard cutouts is have like speakers so that when you're at home watching, you can like be shouting and it'll like sound like different people are like saying things, or I don't know.
Well,
They've talked about.
vibrate, so it sounds like the stands are going off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean a little.
Well, they could play the sound of the fans just like they do at Tottenham Stadium anyway.
Oh yeah, I was
on
gonna
the
say that. I was
regular.
like, don't they do that there? And like, can't they do that while they're broadcasting so it like sounds like there's people? Just have a generic like, oh, someone scores, yeah, volume. Like I don't know.
Oh, they can totally do that. It's like you have a laugh track in sitcoms, right? That's
Yeah.
been around for 40 years, maybe 50 years, right? That's been around forever, since the
Yeah.
60s. So they could do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they made the puck glow in hockey games on Fox in the 90s.
oh yeah,
You remember the glowing puck?
I hate
yeah, I
it
remember that.
so much.
Everybody hated that. It was just,
Really?
I mean, granted, hockey's not the best TV sport, but it's better than that. You don't need the glowing puck. I'm just wondering. I don't know who this is.
I love hockey.
Do what?
I said I love hockey.
I love hockey too. No, I do. I'm a huge hockey fan. I've been missing it. I don't know who this is, but he's only half right about West Ham. The first part is dead on.
Oh,
Can you imagine like taking the time to log into someone else's fan thing and doing that. Like,
I
you
can't.
gotta have a lot of time
no.
on your hands.
You gotta be just. What are you doing if you're
And
doing that? Do you know what I mean?
He's angry. I don't know about what, but he's angry.
There is no club in the world I hate enough to do that. Not Tottenham, not Millwall. I mean, no sporting and not Chelsea. Not just I wouldn't go on like a Baylor fan site. You know, I wouldn't do it anywhere. I just can't imagine. Why would you do that?
Somebody's bored.
Better things to do with my time. I don't have to go and shit post on other people's podcast or their live streams. Like,
Yeah, I mean, live stream. It's like you're on a message board. You know what I mean? Like we're actually doing this.
Right.
Whatever. You know what? Hey, whoever listen, Jake, whatever your name is, subscribe, okay? Just subscribe and buy some merchandise off AmericanHammers.net, and you can come here and say whatever you want. I don't care. We'll have you on the show. I don't care.
Yeah.
You buy, I tell you what, you buy $100 of merchandise, I'll have you on the show. I'll interview you next week. $100 of merchandise. Show me the receipt, okay? All right, that's what we're gonna do it.
There's a sale going, too.
Everybody else who's a West Ham fan can come on the show for free. All right, let me just spell that out. Okay, if you're a West Ham fan, you come on the show for free anytime you want.
Although I've probably spent $100 in the merchandise for my own stuff already.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's good. No, I appreciate that too. But West Ham fans come on for free. Non-West Ham fans who want to come on, if you want to come on, it's $100. That's our cover charge, and you got to buy it from our So that's how it's going to work. Anyway, we're 21 minutes in, and so what do we think? The players are apparently training in masks and hazmat suits, 10 feet apart, and I don't know what else, which makes it obvious that they'll be playing in a couple of weeks. Sure, they will. Apparently, everybody from West Ham showed up, and nobody tested positive for the COVID.
That's kind of shocking, but
that is extremely shocking. Like, how is Jack Wilshere even still alive at this point?
Right.
Well, I saw
Right.
He would get injured in getting swabbed. That's what I think Wilshere would do.
I mean, Wilshere is more of a fan of far more severe injuries. So,
but like somehow he would be getting swabbed, and it would cause some major thing that he couldn't play for. Like,
right, it would probably like destroy the the part of his brain that controls his feet or something. You know what I mean? Yeah, and
maybe it would help. He'd stop being so clumsy.
Yeah, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing that happened. I don't know.
Quarantined in washing machines. That's what it is.
Did any of you guys listen to Robert Snodgrass, who has his own podcast now, which I think is pretty cool? I can just listen to that accent forever.
So there's no subtitles. Is what you're
he
saying.
has a podcast with another Scottish footballer who I think probably was in the lower leagues or played in Scotland. I don't know him. And they hosted together, and they had Jack Wilshere on. I think it was a couple weeks ago. And Jack Wilshere explained, basically, he said his injuries are mostly caused by him being too ferocious when he tackles in training. And he goes in and he says that he's not careful, and he goes in on people who are much bigger and stronger than him. And he says that that's affected him. And that was almost, I mean, he said a lot more than that, but that's what I kind of got from it, was like, oh, you're tackling so hard that's what's causing you your problems, is you give too much effort. Yeah,
he's a real hard man. We know that. Jack Wilshere. Everybody knows he's a tough guy, right? I mean, Julian Dix and Jack Wilshere, they're right there in the same, they roll off the tongue together. Fo says he didn't go. I thought I read that everybody was there. I thought I read that all of our players were there. So maybe
but guys, if Wilshere didn't attend, it's because his grandfather passed away yesterday.
Well,
dang.
an article saying that he couldn't attend the funeral for his grandfather
because of I don't think there was a funeral. Like, I don't know how you have a funeral right now, depending on where you live. Of course, I think you can have a funeral in Georgia, but like in most places you can't.
Yeah,
I saw pictures of him training today. That's why I'm confused. He's not back, Bo?
Well, no. If he missed, so someone said he missed training. He may have missed it for grieving purposes, and now he's back. Maybe.
Okay.
Well, I am very sorry to hear that. I did not know that about his grandfather, and obviously that's we make fun of him for getting injured a lot, but that's real life, and I'm very, very sorry to hear about that. That's terrible.
For Snotty is the lockdown tactics. It's actually really, really good.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
What does he talk about? What does he say? And can you understand any of it?
So I had to go back every once in a while and skip back and be like, okay, now let me listen real close. Okay, now I understand. But when Wilshire was on, it was actually I actually felt for the guy. Like it was like, man, he really wants to play for us, and like it goes into the mentality of football and the pressures they feel.
Okay, now I feel stupid because he said it was a joke.
Oh,
I don't know what to say now. Do I feel sorry for Jack? Well, if his grandfather died, yes, I feel sorry for him. But okay, I thought you were serious, Fo. I thought he wasn't there, and I was
That's
like, well, of
funny.
course he wasn't there. So yeah, so I'm sorry, Rob. Go ahead. I apologize.
But
Keep
yeah,
going.
no, it just goes into the mentality of football players, especially coming off of injuries or being locked down or the pressures that they feel. It's actually really insightful, from the the flack they get from fans and all that. I'm like, wow, I really feel for this guy.
It's funny. I mean, I was thinking about this today with, Troy Deeney has kind of taken a stand and said he's not going to train. He's not going to play. He's got an 18-month-old son who has breathing problems. He doesn't want to expose him to virus. I think that's a legitimate, way to feel. And I know these guys make a lot of money. I do. I understand that. They make more than I'll ever make, but they do make it over a short period of time. And, what happens after that? I mean, first of all, ask a guy like Jack Collison how quickly it can all end. It can all end with one tackle, or Dean Ashton's a better example even. It can all end with one rough tackle in training and it's just over like that, So they've got to maximize what they can make while they can, as any of us would. But I don't blame Troy Deeney for feeling the way he feels. I've said many times on here, my mom lives with us. She's in her 70s. I have asthma. My older son has asthma. My wife has asthma. So, we're being careful about this stuff because I do think we're more vulnerable than most people. And if he thinks his child is vulnerable, he should do the right thing and stay home. Again, this is not a baseball player sitting out for 6 weeks with a hangnail. You know what I mean? This is a guy trying to protect his family. I don't know if you guys have thoughts about that.
No, I completely agree. Like family over a paycheck any day. Like, again, we're worried about my son having asthma as well. So we're getting him checked out during this whole COVID thing. And had to stop going to the hospital because we're like, well, he's got breathing issues and, he's 5. So my wife has to take him everywhere.
Mhm.
And, that's why I'm trying to get back to Hawaii. Like if everything was good with him, I'd be like, yeah, I'll be home when I'm home.
Right.
But that's, it's a big worry for, everyone that has underlying issues. Like, do you go out? Do you risk catching it?
I mean, we're learning more about what's high risk and what's not. But certainly if you're a footballer, the risk is not so much catching it from the actual match. It's from, the changing room and showers and sitting around in close quarters in poorly ventilated spaces,
Mhm.
which you're going to have to do
Right.
as a footballer. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, unless you have 10 buses for one team and like everybody, like 3 people on a bus or something.
Right. Or I mean, these old, these older stadiums too, since it doesn't appear they're going to try to neutral ground, some of these older grounds, I mean, they don't have big luxurious changing rooms. I mean, it's cramped in there. And, I mean, even a pretty nice stadium is a newer one. The guys are going to be right next to each other. That's the nature of it. That's how it works. It's a team sport. You all go in and you hang out together. You do team talks. You do get your ankles taped or whatever it is you don't get. You do that in football, but you get your trainer working on you and all that stuff. It's all in pretty close quarters, indoors for a prolonged amount of time, and that's where it gets risky. So yeah, I don't blame him for feeling the way he feels, and I think most people are with him actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter say, I hate Troy Deeney, and today I don't because I completely agree with them. And, I think the whole finishing the season thing is all money related, and it's not at all concerned with health and the repercussions of that. And it's just people who want their paychecks to come in, the big paychecks from Sky and all those things. And, it really shouldn't be restarted, in my opinion, until the whole thing, there's a vaccine and all that.
I've said, and I still believe this, and nobody agrees with me, and that's okay, and I understand why. I wouldn't restart it until it can be totally normal with fans in the ground again. And I don't care if it's 2 years
Yeah.
from now.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't
Yeah.
care if it's I don't care if it's 2 years from now. I really know people think I'm crazy. I don't like these Bundesliga matches with nobody there. I mean, the sex dolls in Korea, I guess, make it a little more interesting, but they're not. There's no. They don't provide any atmosphere.
Right.
At least not during the match.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no. To me, you almost can't have one without the other. If I wanted to watch a sporting event with nobody there, I would watch a Tuesday night football game between Ball State and Western Michigan or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you know what I'm talking about? All he knows I'd watch some action. You know what I'm talking about?
Some action. Yeah, absolutely.
Where there's like 300 people in the stands, and, they're freezing, and I mean, this is one of the reasons you watch big time sports is for big time atmosphere. Now, I watched the NASCAR race over the weekend because my son loves NASCAR, and we watch it together. And it doesn't matter there because you don't even know whether they're there or not.
Yeah, that seems like something you could do easily without crowds.
It makes no difference at all. You don't see them, you don't hear them. All you hear is the cars. All you see is the cars. So there's no atmosphere to it on television. It doesn't matter. But I hate this idea of like watching these games. It's like watching training sessions or under 21 games or something. And they're just they're sort of yelling at each other. And I would wait. And the other thing is, I feel as though, especially when it comes to relegation or playing for Europe or whatever situation your club is in, we know which one ours is in. You can't change the rules in the middle of a season. You can't go from regular Premier League to, okay, well, you're playing at home with no fans. So, we have to go to Villa Park, right? We had to go to Villa Park and play them with, their 50,000 fans in attendance. They're going to come to London Stadium, last match of the season. There's going to be nobody there. It's not the same thing. To me, it's not a fair, situation, a fair comparison. That could be, if it happens, that could be that could determine whether we stay up or go down. That's definitely, very likely to be relegation 6-pointer by the time it rolls around. If we're still both, if we're still both in contention to stay up. To me, you can't say, well, in the same season, we're going to have two different sets of rules. It just doesn't make any sense. If you want to give Liverpool the trophy and end the season, I don't care. That's fine. Start the next one, with the again, I say bring up Leeds and West Brom. Tell them congratulations. There's a silver lining for you.
Right.
We're gonna have a 22-team Premiership, and that's what we're gonna do. But yeah, to me, competitively, I hate this whole idea of saying like, well, we just won't play without fans. You've removed a massive element from the game.
Well, all the rule changes that they're discussing, wiping down the flags, the balls, the field getting Lysol wipes and then going down and wiping down each blade of grass. Like, was it the 5 subs now? And they're just...
there's no way they can do that. I mean, if they do 5 subs, that's a material difference in these games.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They don't even let you put in an extra sub for like those games where you have the overtime, like the finals
right.
and that.
Right, like cup ties where it goes into extra time.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You still only get your 3 subs. You have to manage that. So if this stuff about 5 subs and all that, it's hard to imagine that.
And it's unfair because City can bring on top of their subs, they can add Gundogan and Silva, and who's our 5th? Like Zabaleta and Sanchez. Like you don't even want to bring on your 4th sub if you're us.
We would, God help us if we have to bring on 5 subs, because that's going to be a disaster. Because Carlos Sanchez will if the pitch has been disinfected, he will reinfect it as soon as he steps on it.
The whole thing too. Like, did you see? Was it the 6 players that they tested positive? They're like, oh, only 7 days for you guys. I'm like 14 for the rest of the world.
Yeah, there's a lot I don't understand.
Like,
are
you just going to infect everyone else once you come back from those 7 days of self-isolation? Like,
one of the Watford players said he was asymptomatic and he didn't know he had it, and that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not even sure the tests are 100% accurate, if you want to know the truth. They may be getting better. I know that about a month ago, I had a friend who he's a teacher. He's a high school teacher, and his 2 of his students, their stepfather died of COVID, and he had a test he had like 2 tests that came back negative. and then he ended up in the ICU on a ventilator, and it turned out, oh yeah, he has it. You know,
Oh,
so
wow.
I mean, I'm not even sure the testing is 100% accurate, but even beyond that, first of all, it's a lot of tests to give to footballers as opposed to everybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't get, Rob. I'm with you. 7 days. Why do they get over it faster than anybody else?
Right.
It's 14 to quarantine for most countries now, and I read the other day somewhere that it can show up like 3 weeks later. It can,
Yeah.
So it's a risky thing, and yeah, one of the Watford guys said he didn't know he had it. That's not uncommon. It just seems risky. I know the Bundesliga got away with the first week of matches, and everything seems fine. We'll see how long that lasts. You got to give these things 2 or 3 weeks, because that's, if somebody does get infected, that's how long it takes to the symptoms to manifest.
Well, yeah, and if they're asymptomatic and like they're doing all these testing, and then they find out that they do have it, what happens to the rest of the team? Like, would they have to isolate too?
Like everybody you've trained with, and since the last time you've been tested, it's like.
I would think that you would have to, right? It's contact tracing, right? It's the basic. I mean, that's how they've managed it so well in South Korea, is they've done this tracing where they basically know where everybody in the country is. If you test positive, then there's a message that goes out to everybody's phone that says, hey, Lee in Chelmsford tested positive. If you've been in Chelmsford, or if you've been in his house, if you've been at school with his kids or whatever, you need to isolate. Like, you need to do this.
Article about they traced the resurgence to one South Korean guy that started visiting nightclubs.
Yes, they did.
Crazy.
They traced it to one guy. They traced the resurgence in Thailand to one guy from Bangladesh who was a migrant worker. I mean, that's what I'm saying. South Korea opened the nightclubs for like a day and then shut them all down again,
Yeah.
because one dude went out and he had it. It's like the Biogen thing here in Cambridge back in, was like February, early March. I mean, that was a super spreader event here in the Boston area. That's why we've been hit so hard. It's one of the reasons why we've been hit so hard. Some dude with COVID went out and went to a big conference and spread it to like hundreds of people, just like that. So the whole idea of finishing the Premier League right now, it's absolutely about the money. It's absolutely not about Liverpool. People say if Liverpool weren't top, it wouldn't finish. That's not true. It's not about Liverpool. It's about the money. And then I saw something today. Did you guys see this? I should see if I can find this. I don't know. I scroll through Twitter and I don't think to save these things for later on, but so there's so there are like dates that trip certain financial losses for the clubs. Like, if the season goes past a certain date, then they owe like 36 million pounds back to Sky. If it goes past another date, they owe a larger amount. Did anybody see this?
I know there's money that goes back to broadcasting, but I didn't realize it was tentative on like more than one date.
Yeah.
That would explain why the club PR people put out the spin of, we're going to be in big financial trouble, because if Sullivan has to come out with, as you say, what, 50 million maybe,
something like that.
That's the whole transfer budget,
well, it's
and maybe more. So
and where is Sullivan's money? He made his money off
real
porn.
estate.
It's real estate, which is going to get clobbered. Which is getting clobbered. I mean, he should probably go back to making dirty movies, but because that's at least a sustainable industry. But no, I mean, I wish I could. I'll never find this. But yeah, so if it's the season goes past a certain date, then the clubs have to forfeit a certain amount of money, tens of millions of pounds, back to Sky. I don't know if anybody in the chat room has heard about this either.
Well, did you also see the article where the government is like pushing for free streaming of the matches?
Yes.
How is that going to work out with the payments and for the broadcasters and stuff?
I don't get that either. I mean, they're talking about having BBC show it over the air. So why are we bothering to do this? If it's about the TV money,
for the companies, I would think that they would get their money still from advertising, how they mostly do. I mean, because you think the broadcasters don't necessarily get paid per event that they broadcast. It'd like a salary
Absolutely.
thing. So I think they'd be fine, but
Mhm.
obviously,
But
I think the money would have to come from somewhere.
Okay, so
But if it's on the BBC, then why are you watching it on Sky? Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
The-
right,
The BBC
yeah.
doesn't accept advertising. That's because it's a
I googled Premier League Sky refund, and the most recent thing I find is the Daily Mail. I mean, I know it's the Daily Mail, but it says that it is hoped that relationships with long-standing overseas broadcasters mean that in a worst-case scenario, the Premier League in total would only have to repay £150 million. So
the Premier League in total.
So divide that by 20.
Sorry, don't do math.
Is anybody here one of those math people that could just? I got my calculator right here.
Yeah, I can't do that. No, don't. So that's interesting because what I saw could very well have been total crap, as you know, a lot of stuff is, both on Twitter and in the English press in general. So it's good to know that. What I read, and again, if you didn't find it, it may not be out there anymore, Costume. It may not have been true to begin with, but it seemed to matter how soon it got started, if that makes sense.
Be $7.5 million per club.
Yep.
So it's not.
So
Which
roughly,
They should be able to absorb that. I mean, they
Yeah, that
should.
doesn't sound as crippling as they made it sound.
that's how much
No.
we were going to spend on left back this summer. So shit, now it's got to be Cresswell and Masuaku again. God damn it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
One thing I saw too, speaking about like finances for the clubs, and I didn't like read any articles, just stuff I saw scrolling through Twitter, and maybe people in the chat room can go into more detail. But was the club talking about giving money back for the season tickets?
Oh, that was
remaining
announced
game?
today. Yeah,
are they?
that was
Okay.
announced today.
Yeah,
A
I know that was a
refund.
huge deal.
It's prorated refund for the amount of home games that remain.
Okay, well that's
Oh
good.
wow.
Well, so
Yeah.
it's a couple of things. You go for the refund, like for your remaining games. You can actually put it towards next year's season tickets too,
Oh,
or
That'd be pretty smart.
Club, I think it was Club Cash. I think was the last thing.
so it can
They
roll
emailed
over.
all the season ticket holders, and like it was good for the club. But
Okay. It seems like we have to. Do we have to hold it down here? Is our host, frozen a little bit?
Lose Frozen.
Freeze frame.
Frozen.
Well,
Well, hopefully we
okay.
don't get
Looks
All
like
right.
his Matrix glitched.
So it's time for curry talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wait, what does curry talk mean? You mean going back to talking about food?
Oh, you haven't seen.
Well, here
you haven't
I
seen
got
Monday
something we
Nights
can do really
episode?
quick.
Hold on. What? No, I did
Oh.
not. I watch, like I'd say I watch about half our content. I don't get every single episode.
So Charlie and Jazz just went on a curry rant, and then
Oh,
went
you
into
know
a
what?
chocolate rant. It was amazing.
That sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah.
PJ, what were you talking about?
Yeah, I was like, I got something we can do really quick that'll fill a little bit of time.
Oh yeah,
I got
what's
a
that?
couple I got a new car, so I got a couple of decals that I'm trying to decide which one I want to put on it.
Whoa.
So
Okay.
so first one I've got your classic
Does it have the
Okay.
colors or is it just silver
it's just
and white?
it's just white. It'll
Okay.
be like,
Okay.
yeah, so it'll be the white on that one.
That's pretty
There's
big.
that one.
What
and
color is your
then-
car?
It is blue.
Oh, that goes
okay.
well.
That would be
Yeah.
nice, yeah.
And then let me see.
Navy blue or royal?
It's sort of a what is it called? Cosmic blue. So it's kind of a darker blue.
Gotcha.
All
Nice.
right. And then this other one, I got to put a light behind it because it's like the outline of the shield, sort of like
Oh, nice, yeah.
that part. Like, yeah.
Oh.
Where'd you pick those up from?
So what's that?
Where'd you pick them up from?
Oh God. I want to say eBay somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Nice. I'll have to check it out. But back to the curry talk.
Have you guys ever had curry on Brick Lane in London?
mm-mm.
No.
Okay, so
No.
it is one of the most hyped up things, and it was so worth it. Like it's one of those things that actually lives up to the hype. And when I actually went to London this past Christmas,
Oh, God.
and I got to go with like 4 or 5 of the other DC Irons, all Brits. I was the only American, and after the Leicester game, my friend Graham and I went to Brick Lane, and Brick Lane is like all these different Indian like curry places. And I happened to be staying not far for one night with my cousin, and she lives in that neighborhood. So she tells me everyone goes to this place because this is the well-known place that is known as the best. But I can tell you that recently their chef just moved over to this other place.
Wow.
So you need to go there. And like she was spot on. And it was probably like top 5 meals I've ever had. Just melt in your mouth. Just so damn good.
So great.
Incredible.
You know, I lived
Just meat and the bread. That's it, pretty much. And the sauce.
Yeah, I lived in Singapore, and they have a little India, like just a whole section. It's a full town. It's just complete. Everything is Indian. And there's a place called the Mustafa Center, which is in the center. And like right across the street is the best Indian food I've ever had. Like it's completely authentic. Like no silverware. Like you have to eat with your hands and stuff. And
Yeah.
it gets a little messy, but oh, so good.
Wow.
But if you guys haven't tried different types of curry, Japanese curry is amazing too. It's more like it's like a stew type curry.
I've heard
Yeah,
that a little
Japanese
bit.
curry is fantastic.
So
It's got like carrots and potatoes in it, and then it's
do you-
meat-based.
do you know the history behind those ingredients and if they are all native to India? And would it mean like would Japan have like to get those ingredients at some point in history? You know what I mean? Like, is it their own cuisine? Like, is it as a Japanese thing to it?
So yeah, they just took the
Yeah,
spices
it's
and they
definitely its own
pushed
thing.
it over to like a Japanese more flavor. So you could get it hot, you could get it mild, and like they started adding different things. Like my favorite is the pork cutlet that is dipped in panko and then deep fried.
Wow.
And you get it, and then they put like a little mozzarella cheese inside the curry too. Oh,
Mm.
with rice. Oh man,
Wow.
all day, every day.
Yeah, chicken katsu curry is my favorite from a place. What's that place in Japan?
Coco,
I don't know. I can't think of it. Coco's. Yeah, Coco's. That's fantastic. Korean curry is very similar to Japanese curry, but they are different than Indian curry because they're kind of more like soup is not the right word, but they're more. The ingredients are just a little different.
It's kind of like a
There we
stew
go.
curry. It's not like
Yeah, here you
curry
go.
curry. It's like a stew.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Lee back.
I don't know. We've got the swirling circle of death here.
Oh,
No, it's funny. One thing I found that was interesting, kind of switching topics back to the Bundesliga that I was going to talk about earlier, was the fact that the subs
There
were
he
sitting
is.
6 feet apart from each other. It seems really random to me that you'd have the subs sitting, with mask on, sitting 6 feet apart, where you go in and you jump in and you're playing the game, getting all the sweat and all that stuff on top of you. It didn't really seem like it made a bunch of sense to me, but I guess whatever works.
I heard some people say, sorry, my computer restarted. Anyway,
you do the same thing that happened last week.
Windows.
it happened a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, well, this is the problem with using my work computer is it's like, it's controlled. So anyway, I didn't think it was going to happen, but it did. Yeah, I saw some people say that like the sub sitting apart seems kind of stupid. It does seem kind of stupid, but that maybe it was like to sort of send a message to the German people, like you should still be social distancing.
Yeah.
That had more to do with it than actual like protection of the players. I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, it seems really stupid that they go out there and sweat on each other, breathe in each other, blow their snot rockets and everything else. And then it's like, oh no, but when you're on the bench,
Right. Well,
Don't
one
get
thing I think
close.
that the Bundesliga kind of showed as, I guess, as a positive is the fact that their stars came back and they were still stars. Like it didn't seem like they had, at least for the top teams, anyways. It didn't seem
Yep.
like they had much rust. Holland came in, killed it. I did feel bad for the American that was supposed to start for Dortmund that day, who got injured in the warm up, but the dude that replaced him came in, killed it too. I don't know it. I tried to watch it just because I wanted to see what it would look like with no fans there. And
Yeah.
after like 10 or so minutes after the first goal, when there was like no like giant cheering, especially for a game that big where those two teams
Right.
fan bases don't really like each other that much, I was like, okay, well, I can hear the the bench cheering, but it wasn't the same, so I just turned it off.
Yeah, it's even on TV, you don't realize how much difference a little atmosphere makes. You just get used to the roar of the crowd, and when it's not there, it's like you start to wonder why you're watching,
Yeah.
why
It sounds-
anybody's
Yeah.
watching.
It sounds to me like it would be like occasionally I'll see like a preseason match that's like streaming somewhere, and there's like 100 people at the place, and it's just dead quiet. You hear all the players yelling at each other, like you can hear what they're saying, and
That's
all.
what it's like. Yeah.
It just sounds
Yeah.
like weird.
Well, I mean, Tim and I used to. Well, Tim really ran the club, but I used to help Tim run this little club that we had in the National Premier Soccer League here in Lowell years ago, and that's what all our games were like,
Really.
basically. Well, actually, we started out with a few hundred fans. Our first game, we had something like 500 fans, which was a
Oh,
lot. But we lost like 8-0, and then nobody came back. So,
Oh.
but yeah, it is like watching. It's like watching a high school game, except you don't even get like friends and family. You just get nothing. It's just it makes me nervous, and I don't know. It's not very appealing.
Yeah.
So
Well, one thing too that Rebecca had said in the chats is that she did see some people kind of lacking stamina wise, and I do agree. I would say a majority of the people you could tell, you're not going to be used to playing full 90 minutes for just 2 weeks of training. But I guess more so I was just trying to say like the poster boys of the league, the bigger names, kind of shined. But I
agree.
do feel that it's at least for a couple of weeks, and I don't know how much longer the Bundesliga season is because they start before everybody else. It's going to feel like you're watching preseason games. I feel like, because you're still trying to get into game shape, and you don't get into game shape for about a month or so.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Although they've supposed to have been training in their isolations, so
well, true, yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, training is just keeping shape. But I mean, I'm just saying as far as like running, just running 6 or so miles for 90 minutes.
Their season doesn't end until June 27th.
No shit. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's a long time. They got a long. Well, that's because they do that winter break. They take a long break. In December, whereas in England, if their fixtures are crowded in December, and like the rest of Europe, they don't play.
Well, it makes sense in Germany because I mean they like they legitimately get like snow and stuff, so I get that.
Right. That's true. Yeah, no, you're right. I think the weather does definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I think that's definitely a factor.
See how the Premier League comes back and see how the clubs come back from this self-isolation, self-training, and see how good there. And, some clubs are going to be better than others. And it's going to be interesting to watch matches.
And what's interesting is none of the Bundesliga players said anything about like Troy Deeney did. Like I can't remember anybody saying no, I'm not going to play. Like
unless we just didn't know about it, unless it just never made it to the English language press. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe so, but
I never heard a word from any Bundesliga player. On the other hand, keep in mind the Germans have had something like 5,000 deaths, and in England there have been like 40,000.
Right.
Or in the UK. The Germans had it, much better under control. Because I didn't hear anybody in South Korea. I didn't hear anything about the South Korean players or any, saying anything like that either.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any Bundesliga players, objecting. But the other thing I wonder is like, so did everybody just quarantine in the country, like where they play? Because
I knew a few players were out of country for us. Like some of the foreign players, they were out back home with their families, sheltering in place.
I think
so do they have to
kind of whenever that shelter in place order? I think because we had a little warning on that, so I think the players that wanted to leave left.
Right. They have, but if you now, from what I've read, if you enter the UK, I mean, I don't know if you're strongly suggested to self-quarantine for 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
So are they doing that, or do they just not do that?
I guess it just depends on who the person is. Like if you're a foreigner, like if I was to go there, well, I guess it would depend too, because obviously you're not going to plan a trip to where 2 weeks of it you can't leave your hotel room, But at the same time, I guess if I'm a foreigner that just happens to work there, you know, if I can't do my job from where I live, you know, I guess I don't know. Like I said, my friend that just went there, she had a quarantine for 14 days, but I mean, it's different for her too because she's in the military, so she kind of has to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I don't entirely understand. Just a lot of stuff I don't entirely understand. But
Well, it's like
yeah, wait, now I
when I
heard
go
you.
back to Hawaii,
Okay.
I have to quarantine 14 days by law. Like if I break that 14 days quarantine, they throw me in jail, and it's like a $5,000 fine.
Dang.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. I don't know if it works that way in the UK. I don't know if they're able to enforce it like that. I have no idea.
Yeah,
But
Rebecca said in the chat that it's mandatory now. Like you have to self isolate for 2 weeks.
so all these guys who came in from other parts of Europe and presumably from like West Africa and from South America, did they do that? I mean, I don't know. If I mean, I know like Lanzini was in London. A lot of the guys
Yeah.
were stayed in
I
London.
see. I follow Anthony on Instagram, and he's like got his girlfriend with him, and they're always taking pictures. So I think he's doing okay.
Yeah, they do
He's-
that.
He's fine, but I mean, if you went to another part of Europe, if you went to wherever you're from, I don't know. I just didn't know if like the rules were lifted for them or what. I don't know.
I think it would just depend on how early, like how far ahead they were in telling people to come back with everything else shutting down. You know, like, you know, if you're on vacation and then you have like leagues in other parts of the world shutting down, like tell your players, hey, come back just in case, you know, stuff gets sticky, you know,
Yeah,
because I don't think anybody's above the law. Like if the league shut down and like if the NBA shut down and for whatever reason, like LeBron James wasn't in the country and he
Right.
couldn't come back, like, okay, sorry, LeBron, like you still can't come back.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I mean, I think you're right, Sully, but exceptions get made sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't doubt that too. I mean, especially for professional athletes. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
Oh, money
you know,
talks. Just throw money.
yeah.
at
Well, I guess I'm just saying too. If he wasn't going to be on TV because the leagues were shut down, you know, like if there wouldn't be the huge push to get him back. But unless you knew like ahead of time that, you know, I guess stuff might be shutting down, you know, as management or owners, you know, as inept as ours might be, you know, tell your people, hey, come back from where you are just in case, you know, things get serious.
Yeah. Yeah, that may have been the case. I mean, that seems possible. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't really matter if they're all in training. Then they got there somehow. But there's just a lot of stuff that's hard to understand. And it's the more I read about, the more confused I get. Okay, so I was watching on my phone after my computer restarted. So you all were talking about Curry.
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't know.
We weren't. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's fine. Can I tell you a little? Can I tell you a little Curry story, like a little
Oh,
story
boy.
about Curry?
Oh, go for it.
Yes, please.
So I went on a weekend trip to London with this friend of mine. He had a lot of hotel points, and so we got free hotels. So we had to check into like two different places because we had to move from one to the other. Anyway, we called it our not a gay tryst weekend because we were like two married guys, but so we go to London and like everybody every time we check into a hotel, the guy's like, oh yeah, want a single bed, and I was like, no. Because my friend weighed like 350 pounds. All right, let me just set that up too. All right, maybe 400. He's a very, very large man. So I was like, nobody wants a single bed with this guy. Okay, his wife doesn't live in a single bed with him. So anyway, we went to this curry place, and I don't know where it was. I don't remember. And we walked in and we said, oh yeah, we ordered, whatever vindaloo, whatever you get at a curry place. And they said, how hot do you want it? And we said, come on, man. Like, we're fat Americans. You make it as hot as you want. You make it as hot as you can make it. And
man.
so
Did it make him weep like a little girl?
they brought it out, and I had a Kingfisher, the beer, the Indian beer with me there. And Derek had one. They brought it out, and I'm telling you, I took one bite, and I just like, my eyes filled with tears. I started to sweat, and I have very little memory of the rest of that evening. Like, I don't really know how much of it I ate. I don't know if I ate any more. I don't know. There was a lot of beer, that much I know. Well, the problem was the next day we had to switch hotels, so we checked into a different Hilton, and they sent us up to our room, and it had a huge single bed. And we were like, no. So before we went down to switch rooms, I mean, there was an intestinal imperative, and so whoever
Oh,
got that room next got a little gift from me. Because nobody came in to clean it, right? Because we didn't stay in it. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like we just went up there, we were there for like 10 minutes, and then we went back downstairs to switch rooms. So it happens when it happens, and I was like, yeah. So so there was carnage in that room, and I'm telling you, whoever walked in there next left a very, very poor Yelp review. That's
Oh,
all I'm
wow.
saying.
Lee, the thing
But,
I love about traveling to foreign countries is never get it as hot as the locals like it. So like in
Oh yeah,
Thailand,
no, definitely not.
Never,
ask for
never.
Thai hot, because they'll be like, "Can you make it hot?" And they'll be like, "Okay," and you'd be like, "No, Thai hot," and they'll be like, "Really, you want it Thai hot?" Yeah, never do that.
I've heard about that. I've heard that in Thailand. You never ever do that in Thailand. Yeah, this was like this was an Indian place. I don't know. People were obviously either from India or Pakistan. I don't know which one. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, we were pretty cocky. You know what I mean? And they were like, okay. And I don't know. I mean, it may not have even been as hot as how they eat it. Do you know what I mean? Like, they probably were laughing at us because it was probably like 50% of what they eat, but we couldn't handle it. We were just, Americans have like very wimpy palates. It's something that I've learned. I mean, not all, but like a lot of us, like we think we can handle spice, but we can't handle spice. Like,
Salt is too spicy for most of us.
that's what I mean. Like we get a little, like we eat a jalapeno, we're like, woo,
Yeah.
I mean,
Tabasco is technically nothing. Like Tabasco is
like,
not supposed to be that hot.
The jalapenos are not that hot. Tabasco's not that. Tabasco on that. There's a scale. And this is true. It's totally what I get. What I got was diarrhea, which I totally deserve. Tabasco, there's a scale called the Scoville scale or something like that.
I've heard of that.
Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Scoville.
Tabasco's like at the very bottom.
Oh, absolutely. Have any of you guys heard of the show Hot Ones? It's a YouTube show.
Yeah, love that show.
Yeah, it's incredible. Is
that the porn food thing? Is that the porn food?
It's celebrities being interviewed by. It's always the same guys. This short, scrawny, bald white guy, and he can handle his spice. And they eat as they're being interviewed. They eat 10 different wings, and each wing like doubles on the Scoville. And Tabasco's always like the first or second wing because it's just really not that hot.
It's not that hot.
Yeah.
No, Tabasco's like nothing. The stuff we eat is nothing. And here in New England, it's even worse. Like if there are people who won't eat like pepper, I'm talking about like black pepper, like at your table. Like they're like, oh, I don't know, I can't really touch that stuff. I used to work with this guy and really good dude, but I'm telling you, that guy, like, he would balk at a little salt. He'd be like, "Oh, I don't know, man. That's pretty spicy. I don't like spicy food." Like, you're putting like salt on mashed potatoes, like there's this isn't spicy. But it was too much. He couldn't handle it. So New Englanders are the worst about that. You can go to any restaurant here, any Indian place, any Mexican place, and you can say make it as hot as you want, and it's never hot enough because the standards are so low, But yeah, you don't do that in London, and probably shouldn't do that in California either. I would guess.
It's funny because back in Hawaii, I used to grow Carolina Reaper peppers, and then, I used to make a hot dog relish for it. So it was a little sweet, and it kicked with that Carolina Reaper. Oh man, so good.
That sounds awesome.
I like my spice.
I do too, actually. I do too. You just got to learn. That you obviously you guys know this. You don't drink water with it, right? You drink like
milk.
You eat bread or you drink milk or even beer is better. But yeah, something with a little. It's got to soak it up. You know what I mean? Oh man, I don't know. My ex-wife and I went out for dinner one time in Fort Worth, and they have those little. There's a Chinese place. They have those little red peppers. Do you know what I mean?
The key. It's like an index.
Yeah. And it looks like an appendix or something. It's like a little, and she got one in a bite that she didn't expect. And I mean, and she's from here. She's from New England. She's not even from Texas. She got one in a bite she didn't expect. And she went to reach for her water and she was so flustered that she just splashed it across the table, like threw the glass on the floor. It was like ice, water, glass everywhere. It was spectacular. You know, it was, and then of course that was before we knew you weren't supposed to drink water. That water really makes it worse. So yeah, so that was. I don't think we ever went back there. I think that was the last time we ever went to that place.
Ice cream's good when you're eating spicy stuff as well.
Ice cream
Like just
is
regular like vanilla or just like plain flavor ice cream. It helps.
Ice cream is good at all times. Ice cream is never bad.
I don't know, man. I've never had pad thai and thought, you know what, I could really use some vanilla ice cream right now.
Right.
Oh, I have.
Yeah,
Are you
no,
joking? I
definitely
could
not.
eat vanilla ice cream at any moment of any day. I don't care what I've just had. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, pad thai is a good safe. You know, at least around
Yeah.
here. That's you can.
That's not. It's almost never spicy unless you ask for it spicy. But
Yeah, but I've.
Yeah, I'm not a big sweets kind of guy. Like,
yeah,
never have been. Like, even milk, I'm like, not a big fan. So I just like deal with the spice, and I'm like, yep, I'm pouring.
Oh
sweat
yeah,
right
no,
now.
just paper towels and water I shouldn't be drinking. You know, I'll got the snot running, everything. If I'll do that,
yeah.
I'll just
See,
I'll
I
be all
haven't
right.
heard anybody mention the hiccups yet, and that's my problem with spicy food. I'll be very brave, and I'll take the max spiciness, and I can take the mouth pain and the sweating and my eyes, but I'll just hiccup like
I hiccup
crazy,
too.
and
That's what I do
really
too.
that's really uncomfortable.
Nah,
I don't
I've
like
never
that.
seen that
By the way,
before.
what is fermented pond life? What is that?
For
Barbecue
Oh,
pork, I'm
man.
down with all the way.
algae.
Barbecue pork and sticky rice, I'm down with that. Like, and rice porridge, yes. But what is fermented pond life?
Damn near sounds like
That
kimchi,
sounds
to
like
be honest.
algae. Like you're
Yeah,
eating.
it does. I
See?
could go scrape some off the side of my pool, maybe up a little roadside Thai place. Yeah,
Big
I
props
no,
to
I
Darren, though. Like, love Thai food, and like every Thai table's got was it fish sauce with
Yeah.
chopped up Thai chilies in it.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Scoop it and you just top it on the rice, and oh man, I love it. I spent a lot of time in Thailand, and they have so many like hot and like it just goes with the weather. I love it. The hot food.
Yeah. Hot food and hot weather, they go together. Like, you're not going to get a lot of hot food in Sweden, you know. You're not going to get like they're not hitting you with a lot of spice in like the
Oh, yeah,
Netherlands.
no. I've eaten pho before in 100-degree weather, and I was just fine.
Yeah,
If you
it's-
never had
it's,
pho before, highly recommended.
it's kind of good for you, you know. It's kind of good for you. Yeah,
The pho?
it's
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
incredible pho in DC for some reason. We have the number one pho place on the I guess Forbes has a restaurant list. I just know that
Oh,
they
wow.
advertise that, and they win pretty much every year. And it's considered the best bang for your buck 5-star restaurant in the country because you're getting delicious pho, but the bowls are like $10, $12.
that's
Oh,
DC,
wow.
that's
It's
in
incredible.
DC.
It's in Columbia Heights. It's on Park Road. It's called Pho 14, and it's
Oh, yeah,
phenomenal.
they always got
and
a
it's
number
cheap.
with the name too. It's great. I love
Yeah,
it.
and see, we have Pho 5, 6, 7, all the way. You got to go to 14.
Yeah.
Don't go to any other number.
Okay,
Well, yeah, so
just like Prince Andrew, you got to go to 14. That's how he likes it too. But no, I hiccup. What's that?
There's a low blow there.
Whoa, the show just
But,
became TVMA all of a sudden.
Wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. No, I hiccup too when I eat spicy. That's the problem I have. The pain is fine, but I hiccup. I can't stop hiccuping, and then I just look like an idiot. You know, even more than usual at that
Yeah.
point.
So I've had pho in Da Nang. Like I was there in Vietnam for a while, and like it was sit on a milk crate with traffic passing behind you as you're sitting at this little shop eating pho. I was like, this is the most amazing experience. The only weird thing about it is all the beer was warm. So anytime you had a beer in, it was warm beer, and I was like, ugh, trying to toss down.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about warm beer is, like, if you're having a nice English ale or something, you know, like, you don't want it like ice cold, right? You want it, you know, well, the way it's like room temperature, you know, the way it's supposed to be. But if I'm eating like, you know, a super spicy dish, I think I'm gonna want it cold. And if it's 135 degrees outside, cold.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
was probably like 95 out, and I was drinking.
That's
more.
that's when I drink my Gansett, like, freezing cold is when it's in the summer. That's when I'll drink almost any beers in the summer because it doesn't really matter as long as it's cold and beery. You get all snobby about beer in like the winter when you want your porters and stouts, but summer I'm just like whatever, man. Just throw it to me, give it to me, throw it at me.
Guinness all day, every day. It doesn't matter if it's hot out, it's cold out. Guinness.
Oh, Guinness is I used to drink. Yeah, Guinness is fantastic, and then I always loved the Guinness snobs who were like, "Well, it's better in the UK and Ireland." Okay, I mean, but it's still good here. Like it's not that bad. I mean, I get it, it's better, but who cares? It's still a good
Right.
beer. I used to drink Kilkenny when I lived in Paris. I used to drink Kilkenny a lot.
I love Kilkenny too. Oh,
And when I was out on the Kilkenny's really good. And was out on the cheap, it was Newcastle Brown, man. Newcastle Brown. A lot of Newcastle Brown. Just like that's for your nights out when it's like, you're just sort of hitting it.
How about
lot of
Poddington?
Newcastle Brown. Boddington's?
Yeah, you had it.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. Yeah.
It's
I
very
like-
it's very light. It's like it's Guinness-ish, I would say. That fair?
You can get it in cans here, like Guinness, with the little thing that floats around in the can. Supposed to
That's
make
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
really pretty good. It's not bad at all. Oh, so Darren says anything that lives in a pond, a fish, crab, etc., fermented, you can smell it a mile away. I'm sure you can. I would eat that though. I would totally eat
Fermented
that.
crab.
Sure, I would
Does
eat
that
it. Yeah.
does that mean it started to decompose?
It means it's been.
Right.
It means it's been drinking. It means it's like it's been on. It's been on
Oh,
the
man.
piss. It's gotten
Okay.
fermented from all the alcohol. I don't really know what fermented crab means. I don't know what that means.
well, you know
That
me.
sounds
I'll eat
painful.
anything. So, Darren, I'm down. What fermented doesn't matter to me.
I'll eat anything I'm not allergic to. I'm allergic to a lot of stuff, but that's a different story. But if I'm not allergic to it, and I know I'm not, then I'll eat it. Yeah, anything. I used to like when I in France, I used to like the andouillette sausage. Which is
Oh, yeah.
guts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's basically like tripe, but it's in sausage form. And when you cut it open, it just smells like shit because it basically is. But it's so good with spicy mustard. It's so good.
Did you ever have the black and white sausages they have?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
They have sausages over there that I haven't tasted them since I was 10 years old. That like I've never seen here. Never.
Yeah,
Just
no, there's
a
stuff.
whole nother level of sausages. We just
That's
brought
true.
over the bratwurst, it seems, and that
Yeah.
seems to be where we hit. We're like, that we're good. That's it. That's all we need.
Oh,
But
brats are good. The currywurst over in Germany. Oh, man, if I could just go back to Germany just to get a currywurst. Oh,
The
bring it back to the curry.
the way they can stretch a pig in Europe is, and I'm sure in Asia it's true too, is pretty impressive. Like the ham, the sausage, the stuff they get out of a pig is like way better than they have more variety anyway than what we're able to do. And yes, I have eaten snails and they're pretty good. And like
love
garlic
this.
butter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Like a garlic sauce, the garlic butter. They're excellent. The only problem is they're small. You gotta eat like 40 of them, But
We'll say one person I'm definitely jealous of is PJ for having all that good barbecue food out there in Kansas City.
Yeah, actually, we did just
Get
get some this weekend. We did pick up of Q39, which is a really good place.
What's your favorite place
Wow.
in Kansas City?
I like to go to Jack Stack. Yeah, my husband really likes Q39 and Joe's, which are good.
Is that Oklahoma Joe's or is that just?
It used to be Oklahoma Joe's, but they've split off. Now they're just Joe's KC.
Oh, so my wife is from. She went to high school and junior high in Manhattan, Kansas.
Mhm.
But her dad's from Kansas City. Her dad's from Kansas City, Kansas, and
Yeah.
they are Gates people. They like Gates.
No, I don't like Gates. Gates is the one you walk in the door and they yell at you to take your order when you're like 20 people back in line.
That is
And
what
they
they do.
serve
yes.
everything with just like white sandwich bread. And I'm just like,
That is what they do.
Mhm.
So we went to Arthur Bryant's and we went to Gates because we were only there for a few days.
yeah.
And I liked Arthur Bryant's better.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I thought Gates might have had better sauces, but I
Mhm.
thought the meat at Arthur Bryant's was definitely better. So it is now like a religious argument that I have with my in-laws, because they're Gates people, and I'm like, no. But if you really want to cause strife in my extended family, have the debate about whether Texas barbecue or Kansas City barbecue is better.
Oh,
Because
boy.
that's when it gets real. Like that's when it gets down and dirty. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I will
I-
I'll go with a Texas brisket with a dry rub like
Mhm.
any day. Don't get me wrong, I love Kansas City barbecue and
Yeah.
also the southern pork. You know what I mean? Stuff
Yeah.
around Georgia and all that. But like Texas brisket with a dry rub, like slow smoked. You're not going to beat that for me. You're not going to beat that. It's always going to be the best.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Memphis style
Mhm.
personally, but I think that's
I like
probably
Memphis
because
style too.
I've had barbecue in Memphis, and I haven't had barbecue in Kansas City. I haven't had barbecue in what is it in North Carolina. I know they got their
Yeah.
own style. So how
Yeah.
Mhm.
how do I really
Yeah.
know which one I like more? When you've
Right,
only
yeah,
you have
so
to
if
have it
you-
in
if
you have
you
to have
come-
it in the city, right?
Yeah, if
Or
you do
in the-
come
in
here,
the-
you want to get like the burnt ends is a pretty popular one for people who don't usually
They're
get it.
all the thing is they're all
I had a really
wonderful.
good pulled pork sandwich. It was like apple brine pulled pork. I was like, oh, that's great.
Well, see, so for the pulled pork,
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Carolina style.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
They're all wonderful. All
brisket-
barbecue is fantastic. That's the
Oh,
thing. It's like I don't really care what's better. It's all fantastic. The sauce
Except
is
the
now
McRib.
Right. Yeah.
Did that ever make a comeback? The
A
McRib?
couple
It
times.
comes and
Yeah.
goes. A few
It's
times.
always like a limited time thing. That and like
Yeah.
Szechuan sauce is only there for like a little bit of time.
Oh, I do have to say another thing about Jack Stack barbecue is they have this crown rib that my sister says is the best thing she's ever put in her mouth. And she, after she got married, she's like, I still stand by that statement. I'll just say
That's
that.
great.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's good. Yeah, no, I all barbecue is great. You know, that's the thing. It doesn't matter what's better. The only one thing I'll say
I
is
do have a controversial thing. So I was watching Hammer's Chat earlier today, and was Gonzo and Gio, and
yeah.
Mhm.
said barbecued sauce as a base for pizza, and I was like, that is the most
Oh,
disgusting
yeah.
thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's
I've
great.
had
I
that
don't like
before.
that either.
Not
I've had it.
since
It's not great.
college.
Yeah.
In college, I remember I had friends who liked to order the barbecue chicken pizza pretty often. Mm.
Oh, I
It's
would
like a
have to
waste of
die
pizza
as
though.
hell
Yeah.
to eat
It's
It's
a
kind of
whip.
okay, like as a flatbread, maybe like a
Yeah.
little, like
You
that's all
gotta get it
right,
like
but
thin. It's gotta be
I'm not
thin.
gonna go for that normally.
Yeah,
It's like,
no.
I mean, if I'm gonna have pizza, I really just want the marinara sauce. You know what I mean? It's to me, it's like a fundamental. I've had barbecue chicken pizza. It's not that bad. It's just, but I just would rather have barbecue chicken. You know what I mean?
You're not a
I don't
white
really
pizza
need it
guy?
on pizza. You know, if
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
if I'm
like
gonna get
Alfredo sauce
pizza,
pizza.
I
I
love
just
white
want
pizza.
like
Mm.
I just want like no, I like the red sauce, like the cheese, and then I just want meats. You know what I mean? Just meats. Just put meats
Yeah,
on it.
I guess I'm pretty basic with my pizza because I like pepperoni and mushroom, just like kind of base, like. But
That's good though. See that? I would totally eat that. Yeah. Put a fungus on there like the mushroom.
So I make my own pizzas at home in Hawaii because you can't really get a good
Mhm.
slice anywhere.
Mhm.
I'll bet.
I will, I'll fling the dough up in the air and stuff. I get the pizza stone in the oven.
Nice.
I'll make my own marinara. But it's always mushrooms and Italian sausage.
Beautiful. I would totally
So
eat that. Absolutely.
Is Hawaiian pizza a thing in Hawaii, or did
I
they
think
just
they- I
name
think
it
they came from
generically
Canada.
because of
So,
pineapple?
You know why it's named Hawaiian pizza? It's just
It's just because of pineapple, right?
so Hawaiian pizza actually came from California.
I heard it came from Canada.
That's
Nah,
lame.
It was California
Oh,
that
okay.
actually created the Hawaiian pizza. But it's the same as like the deep dish in Chicago. It was actually created by a man from Texas.
Oh, really? I thought it was
That's true.
started in Detroit and then moved
That's
to
true. It's
Chicago.
a Texan created Chicago deep dish. Yes.
I wonder
Wow.
who's responsible for the St. Louis style. It's that cracker crust, thin, terrible stuff.
All of St. Louis is disgusting to me. I'm sorry. I know we have people from St. Louis who are probably
Wow.
watching, but I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a fan.
You gotta say
I go across the state to Kansas. I love Kansas City, but St. Louis, yes, I've spent time there. No, thank you. That's all I'm saying.
Brooklyn pizza's the best.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Charlie
New York
will
style.
agree.
Brooklyn pizza
Well,
is the best.
I don't know. Manhattan has its places that are equally good. I find.
Gray's it's okay. No,
Have you been to John's of Bleecker Street?
Yeah. So the best is Pizza Under the Bridge in Brooklyn. That compared to Lenny and John's too. But that's closer to Marine Park. That's where that's where I grew up.
Oh, you
If
grew
you
up in
guys-
Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so then
This
okay,
is for-
because
this is for Charlie. Here you go. The best cheesecake capital of the world.
There you go. Oh man, where is that? I love cheesecake like you wouldn't believe.
Juniors.
Oh, how did I never go there when I lived in Brooklyn for
Nice.
like a year? I guess I just never knew about it. Oh man, I
Oh,
love
no.
cheesecake. Oh,
Junior's cheesecake is amazing. So the only one that compares to it is Carnegie Deli.
I have been to Carnegie Deli. That's famous. That's well known.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
their cheesecake is on par with Junior's, but Junior's is.
I'll tell you, when I lived in Brooklyn, I lived in a neighborhood called Windsor Terrace that nobody's ever heard of. That's on the edge of Park Slope, but it's not actually part of Park Slope because it's not that nice. And there was a roast beef place called Pierre's that had the best roast beef I've ever had. Roast beef sandwich is like
No.
like stacked this high.
Here comes the native.
No,
Brennan,
but believe you. What?
Brennan and Cars. They
Say it
have
again.
Brennan and Cars.
Okay. Okay.
They
I
have
believe you. I believe you.
French dip too. Oh,
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love
What is
that.
it called? Is it called au jus?
yeah, the au jus. Mhm.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
The thing is, we could walk to Pierre's, right? So it was like down the street. You know what I mean? And it was fantastic. But I'm sure there are better places because our neighborhood didn't really have much in it, actually. But yeah, it was brilliant. That was fantastic. It was great. Yeah, but whoever said New Orleans for food, yeah, that is like New Orleans is probably the best food city in America. Everything.
Oh, I'm
considered.
just thinking, the beignets from
Well,
Cafe.
there was a beignet place here at our farmers market area in River Market, and they closed.
Oh, really?
No mourning that. I
That's
love
pearls
beignets.
before swine. That's why people didn't appreciate it. They didn't know what they had.
They didn't. They really didn't.
No, that's.
But also, that
you
little
put-
area has like a lot of really cool like restaurants and shops from different, all over the place, and so like there's too much competition kind of for other,
Yeah, yeah. If you guys ever find yourselves in Portland, Maine, it's a really nice town.
I did.
Portland's a great town. The Portland pie pizza is some of the best I've ever had, and I know that's hard to believe, but trust me, there's maybe 4 or 5 of them. There used to be more, but a bunch of them closed. If you're in Portland or one of the near suburbs, they're not really, they're just small towns. Try Portland pie; it's fantastic. I love it.
I was in Portland one day, and we went to an Italian place that was on a ferry boat, like a docked boat.
Oh, I've been to that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on a boat. Yeah. It's like docked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it, but you can't miss it because it's out in the water. You
Yeah.
know, it's good. It was good.
Lee, you've never been to Monty's in Lynn, Mass, have you? Pizza.
No,
So
but I mean, I have a friend who lives in Swampscott, so it's really close.
it's considered like equivalent to like New Haven, like that good.
Really
And it's like a hole in the wall. It's in Lynn, for goodness sake. But go there.
the city of sin. You know Lynn, right?
No, I don't. I did not know. I'm from
No,
Mass.
Lynn-
I did
Lynn
not
is
know
known-
Lynn was called the city of sin. That's pretty funny.
The old rhyme is Lynn, the city of sin. You never go out the way you came in. That's
Wow.
what I say about Lynn. There's probably a lot of truth to that. No, that's so funny that you because I used to live in Stoneham. I used to live in Melrose. Those are really
Yeah.
close. Melrose is a couple miles away. I never even knew about it.
Monty's with the E.
Monty's with an E. Okay, I will keep
Yep.
that in mind. Because that does sound really good. Of course, who knows if any restaurant will ever open again in Massachusetts? So, I mean, but if Monty's comes back and it's still there, I will absolutely do Monty's. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Let's see. Look at this, would you? That's shameless. It's just.
Well, no, I don't know if you've seen. It's funny. There's been 2 times in the conversation where Rebecca has talked about like different, meeting up with people somewhere in the
Look,
States.
it's working though. It's working. It's working.
Right. Well, it's funny because she says that talking to her is a 1 out of 10 experience.
Oh, is that right?
I was like, yeah, I was like, you're being a bit harsh. But
like one,
she's just being honest.
like 1 star out of 10 or something. Like
Yeah, like if you're like 10 being the best, I guess talking to
no,
her is a
that's
1
not.
out of
I've talked to her on Messenger, and that's not true at all. No, she's lovely. She's really nice. We don't deserve her because she's far more sophisticated than most of us here. So yeah, but then I think that's hey, somebody just signed into my Netflix. What is going on? Who is this? Oh man, I just got an email saying somebody signed into my Netflix. That means I won't be watching Netflix if somebody else signed into it. I gave my
No,
password
change
away
the
to
password.
way too many people have my password. at this
Well,
point.
yeah, but just change your password because
Yeah.
then
You get, like,
I've
three-
done that, yeah, but then
all-
then all the texts start coming.
Yeah.
Like, what's the password? I'm like, oh,
You can pick and choose at
Keep your
that
own for a
point.
while.
I'm too nice again. I'm too nice again.
Or tell
They'll
them
be-
to get a different one, and then you use their they do CBS or Hulu, and you use theirs for that, and then
That's true. That's true. We just started watching we just watched the first 2 episodes of the show that Mindy Kaling did called Never Have I Ever. It's about this Indian American girl who's a teenager and kind of a nerdy kid. And the first couple episodes were, pretty good. Not bad. Not bad.
So you worried me because Never Have I Ever is a drinking game.
That's right.
That's true. It is.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten to that part yet, but yes,
Oh,
it is. It is a drinking game.
I-
That's true.
God, I would lose every single time.
Right.
You know what? I don't hold my booze particularly well. That shouldn't shock anybody, but I always end up like, over the toilet every time. Rugby was a very difficult spell of my life when I was playing rugby in Holland and France. It's a very heavy drinking sport, and it got real
Yeah.
rough.
I'm a sailor. We're known for a few things.
You could do it. Yeah, no, you could. I've often wondered. I've often wondered,
Fighting.
who do you think are the heaviest drinking people in the world? Just by, like, let's say nationality, or not really ethnicity, but like I'm thinking it's hard to beat Eastern Europeans.
Mhm.
Even if
Yeah.
you're Irish, I think it's going to be hard to beat an Eastern European. That's I've known a lot of them, and that's a hard drinking lot right there.
Lee, I can tell you that you're statistically accurate as well because
Is that right?
so Moldova is 17.4 liters per capita. Belarus is 17.1. Lithuania's in third. Russia in fourth. Czech Republic in fifth. Romania, Serbia, and then finally we get out of the region with Australia. But you were
Australia, right?
You were like spot on.
I'm
That's
just
all
saying.
Neil's doing. That Australia, that's all Neil.
That's all Neil. Yeah, Australia's all Neil. It's true. I'm just saying.
Lucas Neil?
I have a very good
No,
friend
Neil.
from
I'm just
Lucas Neil. Well, maybe. Probably
the guy
trying to forget it.
disappeared. Like we haven't heard from him. So
Yeah, what
he's
happened
on
to
a
him?
bender.
Where is he?
Yeah.
He's with Andy Carroll somewhere. I have a good friend from Bulgaria, and I've gone to some parties with him over the years. And I've been to Bulgaria, but I've also gone to parties, like here in the Boston area, with like lots of Russians, lots of Eastern Europeans. These are people. I mean, and I'm saying this with admiration. Like the vodka to them is like water. They don't even feel it. They don't even think about it. Like after 3 drinks, I'm passed out in a pool of my own vomit, and they're just like they feel nothing.
Oh, and firsthand, like I've been to Russia, like Moscow and Vladivostok, and like on Navy, the Navy's dime, so I'm in uniform and everything. So I'm out in town in Vladivostok. It was for E-Day, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning, and there's bottles of vodka just pushed into my hand, and it's like, "You drink." And it's like, okay.
Your drink.
It got so bad that I blacked out and ended up back on my ship in a full Russian uniform. I don't even know how I switched uniforms.
That's awesome.
I'm surprised I let you back on the ship.
No, Russians can't come on. And I'm like, I'm American. Like my military ID.
So did someone have your uniform then on their ship?
Yeah, so one dude took my uniform, I took his, and yeah, Mother Russia! Woo!
Yeah,
Wow.
my Bulgarian buddy. Now he's trying to get in shape now, and he's up in he's my age. He's getting mid-40s, so he's doesn't drink as much as he used to. But he would get up, and for him, he would get up in the morning, and it was caffeine until noon, and then booze until he passed out at night. Do you know what I mean? It was just like coffee, 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 coffee. At the noon, you start hitting the, and he had not lived in Bulgaria for many years, right? He was, no longer. So I mean, when I went to visit there, yeah, it's everything you drink. It's like every meal you start with vodka. You don't like finish with a digestif. You start with you just start getting bombed immediately, and then the food's amazing. That's the thing. The food is fantastic. Now, Rob, my cousin was in the Navy. One of my good friends here was in the Navy, and they tell me the thing you got to watch out for in the Navy is when you're walking back to the ship and you're walking down a pier. You don't want to be so drunk that you fall off the pier.
Yeah.
So
Is this-
that's not the worst thing. So on ships, let me tell you.
And you know this for sure?
Oh yeah, many experiences. So anything at the water line and below. So most of the berthings are below the water line. So that's where you sleep and all that.
Right.
There's a little porthole, so just big enough to fit down, and you got to go down steps that way. So imagine doing that drunk.
Oh.
So you got to lower yourself down and then try to stumble through and not get caught up.
Walk through the doorways that have the raised, lip or whatever.
Oh no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I don't see well I have very poor vision in the dark compared to most people. And I remember I went to this. I was out drinking one night in Paris with this guy from Tennessee, and he wanted. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and he wanted to go to one last club, and I was like, whatever, fine. So we went, and I mean, I was pretty drunk, but not wasted. And I walked in, and you had to walk down this 5 or 6 stairs to get down to where the club was. And it was pitch dark. And I said to the bouncer, I was like, I'm going to fall down these stairs because I can't see. I was like, so when I get to the bottom, pick me up. I'll be fine. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not too drunk to walk. What I'm telling you is I'm going to fall down the stairs, 2 steps all the way down. And they got Denny, picked me up, and he let me in. So, that was it. But yeah, I trying to do that on a ship. No, the Navy would have been a very bad deal for me.
You get used to it. Trust me.
I don't know, man.
I wasn't good at it. There's times where I slipped and fell on my ass, complete black and blue across. Because you just
Oh gosh. Well, when I was in my rugby days, and when we took a trip to Barcelona with my team from Rotterdam, and I just heard one of my kids screaming. That's not a good sign. But I'm not going back there. I passed out in a Burger King bathroom, and a couple of my rugby teammates had to break the door down and come drag me out of a Burger King bathroom. So that was a good time. Those were fun times. Keep in mind they were like 18, 19 years old, and I was like 30. I was older than they were. So I'd like to think that made a difference. It probably didn't, but. And also, it turned out that I was on this asthma medication that you weren't supposed to drink while you were taking it, but I didn't really read that part of the label, so it wasn't until later on that I was like, oh, might have explained a little bit of it, but yeah, it always ends up that way. It always ends up bad.
There are a couple times in Korea they have this drink called soju, which is it's tasteless and it mixes well with everything, right? And the thing that's crazy out there is all the alcohol you can get is not regulated.
That's how I describe myself. I'm tasteless and I mix well with everything. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
so everything out there is unregulated. So you can have a couple mixed cocktails with soju in it, let's say 3 one day and be just fine. And then you can have 3 the very next day in the same spot and be floored. So there are a couple times that when I was in Korea, there was a bar, or there's a row of bars and restaurants right outside the gate. And there were a couple times where, and by a couple, I mean 2, where I would go out with friends to celebrate, one, I think some of our friends got married and we were celebrating that. And then another one of my friends, made rings. So we were celebrating that. Just went out, got some food. Went out to one of our favorite places to drink. Cut to the next morning, woke up in my room, and it's the craziest thing because I never intend to. Nobody intends to black out, but I'm 6'5", 250 pounds. It's going to take a lot for me to get to that point. But there were a couple times I would wake up the next morning in my room, and be so curious as to why everything was so perfect in my room. Like I wasn't hurt, bathroom was fine. I was, in shorts sleeping.
Yeah.
My wallet was there, money wasn't missing. No crazy drunk texts were sent out or received. So, but it was always the best part walking down the bars road the next day and people telling you what you did.
Yeah.
Were you at Osan? Were you?
Yeah, I was at Osan. Yeah.
Oh, I love Osan. Oh.
Charlie
Yeah,
Boy says
Osan
Charlie
is
Boy
the
says he can outdrink the Russians. I don't know. Now Charlie, he's from Brooklyn, Rob. Charlie Boy's from Brooklyn. So
Of course.
there's not much he would tell me that I wouldn't believe. On the other hand, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Hey, Brooklyn, we rule hard. That's the way it goes.
I know. I remember. I mean, I do remember that, but I'm just saying there's a lot of Russians there too, though.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's probably part of the reason why. Yes, Tim, we are. Why? Are we supposed to stop? Well, we probably should stop pretty soon.
My computer's about to die.
we
I got like
I can tell you,
30 minutes.
I've been doing the research, and we're 3 minutes away from being the longest ever American Hammers program.
Oh well, we got to stay on now.
You mean as opposed like
right.
the last
The longest one of all time is Friday Night Likes from 5 months ago.
Really?
And and it's an hour and 38 minutes.
Mm.
All right. Well, we'll do 3 more minutes then. That's fine. That's good. We'll do that.
So we can break the record.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So there was another great time in England. I was there for the World Cup back when it was in South America or South Africa. I mean,
South Africa. Yeah.
if I remember that correctly. Yeah, and England had their first game against Italy, and I remember one of my really good friends, me, him, and a couple of people that we worked with. Actually, I'm friends with all of them, but we went to this pub, and Italy scored first. England equalized. And when England equalized, at this point in the day, nobody in that pub was sober. And like I said, I'm 6'5". The ceiling of this pub must have been like maybe 7 feet tall. So when this happened, somebody that I was with was so hyped that one of them threw his glass onto the ground. Another one jumped up and punched a hole in the wall. Both of these events were caught on CCTV.
Everything in England's caught on CCTV. They record. They record everybody all the time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it wasn't like 10 minutes after that we were asked to leave the pub. Yeah, and then funny enough, Italy ended up winning that game, so we didn't really miss anything.
It didn't really matter. Yeah, this is funny. It was okay. So the longest show ever was when Bish was on Friday, and that was an amazing episode. If you haven't seen it, please go back and watch it. Seriously, no joke. It's amazing. I didn't know it was 5 months ago. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Brilliant episode. Ian Bishop, who's such a good friend to us and such a good dude. Yeah. I was at an English pub in Paris when David Beckham scored the free kick to send England to the World Cup. If you guys remember, this was before the let's see.
In Manchester?
Yeah, they played Greece. They were playing Greece, and it would have been 2002 World Cup. Yeah.
That's what
So
I in high school.
what?
You heard her.
No, I didn't. I didn't hear anything.
That's
Oh,
when
I
she
said that's when I
graduated
graduated
high school.
That's when you. Well, that's okay. That makes you only 10 years younger than me.
3.
No, that makes
I'm
you.
not that young, but I'm not.
I graduated in 1992, so that's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. But I was this pub was packed. I mean, like jammed. And then the game wasn't actually on French TV, so you had to go to a pub to watch it. And it was raining outside, and there were probably, I mean, no joke, probably 300 or 400 people outside the pub looking through the windows at the big screen to watch it for like 2 hours, And then when Beckham scored, it just like erupted. It's like the scenes that you see where everybody throws the beer. You know what I mean? It was one of those. But you're standing there like this, so you couldn't really throw the beer very far because you can't move your arm. Yeah, you just sort of like was all over me. You can't really get it up anywhere because you can't move. But that was the atmosphere.
The best part about that is like when you save all the backwash and the beer that is getting sprayed up into the air and just on everybody else. That was great. That's exactly what happened. The only time I've been to the Boleyn, that's what happened too. Me and Gary, or Gaz, as you guys know him,
Mhm.
went to the bowling before the game that we went to, and about 10 or so minutes before we left, we were singing songs the entire time. The place was crowded. You couldn't really move. So right before we left, the mass, exodus to go to the ground, somebody started a song, and by the end of the song, beers
All the
were up
beers
in the
are in the
air.
air. Yeah,
Everybody
Yeah.
was cheering,
That's
bumping
normal.
around.
Yeah, it's
It
awesome.
was just
Normal.
because I left. I was like, I could tell people just purposely didn't drink the rest of their beers because they knew exactly what was about to happen.
They knew they were going to throw it. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
It was
cultural
awesome.
almost.
yeah.
Like,
It was fantastic. I was not mad in the least.
when we
That was
had
great.
the NBC come over to do their weekend in our city, which is one of the best days of my life, frankly, because we beat Manchester United 3-1, and
yeah. You got lucky.
there were a bunch of Man U fans there, and man,
You got
were they-
lucky. We got
Oh,
we got that
man.
horrible loss to Everton, if you remember last season. Yeah.
And I've probably told this story like a while ago as well, is that the Coors Light was flowing. So NBC had like you get 2 Coors Lights for free and that's it policy, but the bartenders were not following that at all, and they are not charging
should they.
us. So we're just handing them fat tips, and they just keep feeding us. And when we scored the 3rd goal, one of my friends who's obviously British, Sammy, who honestly I wish he'd come on once because he's hilarious. He spun around in a circle and poured beer on himself, and we have it on video. And the beer's kind of flying already because we've all had a lot to drink, and it's 3-1. It's towards the end of the game, and we're all jumping up and down. And so the camera's on like the mass of us and the huddle of us, and then it turns around, and Sammy's by himself behind all of us, just twirling around. But I mean, Coors Light is almost water anyway, so it can't leave too much.
I was gonna say Coors Light is yeah. It's you're just taking a shower at that point.
Yeah.
It's Rocky Mountain spring water, supposedly. Yeah, I don't think this is true. But I do think this is true. I think Neil is, look, there he is. So, he's a gentleman of wisdom and experience. But yeah, I was 1992 it was a great year actually. 1992 wasn't bad at all. It was,
Congratulations, everybody! We've set history.
it's fantastic. It's fantastic. All right, well,
Now we're in 41.
Well, Sally and Rob are in California. They don't care. It's like 4:00 in the afternoon there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's 11.
4:00 in the afternoon in Hawaii.
It's 4:00. Nobody's going anywhere tomorrow. Well, maybe y'all are. I'm not going anywhere tomorrow. So
I'll be
I
working
gotta-
right here tomorrow.
And teach.
you're gonna do what?
I teach, so I have to do the distance learning thing.
Yeah,
Really
I'll
nice.
be sitting exactly where I'm sitting right now. Marketing. I'll be marketing. That's what I do. I market.
This is my work computer right here. This is where I sit. So this is where
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit.
I'm using my work computer. Yeah, the MacBook that I borrowed from my brother-in-law is now dead. I don't think it's going to come back, so I'm just using the work computer. And Rebecca never sleeps, by the way. She's on Twitter 24 hours a day. And when she's not on Twitter, she's here. So I don't know.
My brother and sister seem to think that I never sleep, because I'm sending stuff late into the night and early in the morning, and I think it mostly came from like when I had girls that were infants, and so they were eating every 3-4 hours. So I'm like,
Oh, of course.
sending-
Yeah.
but like I don't know. I guess the reputation just stuck with me. I'm like,
When my older son was born, he had trouble nursing, and my wife used to have to wake up and nurse him every 2 hours.
ugh.
So she never slept for more than like an hour and 45 minutes at a time.
Yeah,
ever.
right. Yeah.
It was brutal, and I stayed up a lot with her. I did. I mean, because I was working at home, so it was really. We watched a lot of it was probably more like DVDs back then, but still, just like murder mysteries in the middle of the night. Because what else are you gonna do?
The best time to watch murder mysteries in the middle of the night.
Well, they weren't like scary ones. They were like Inspector Morse, like BBC type things. Whatever. They were supposed to be supposed to keep your mind sharp. You know what I mean? Anyway, Tebow is also an insomniac. It's like 4:00 in the morning in England. It's look at this, 12:15 in the afternoon in Australia.
Nice.
After
Anyway,
a certain point in the night, like if it gets to like 2:30, 3:00 in the morning, I'm just up.
me too.
At that
At that point, it's like forget it. I'm staying up. Yeah. Yeah.
Sun's almost coming out. I'll be
Yes.
all
Yeah. Oh, that's
take
the
a nap.
worst feeling. The worst feeling for me, and I don't do this stuff anymore, obviously, but the worst feeling for me when I used to go out and do things was to see the sun come up after a night out and be like, oh, you know?
Oh man, no. So another funny story with that too, real quick, before my computer dies. When I was stationed in England during the summertime, the sun would go down around like 10 something at night and come back
Yes.
up around 4 something in the morning. The
Mhm.
best summers I've ever had are out there. So
Oh,
for me, when I worked in food, we would have to, on the weekends we'd have to be at work at 6. Now the closest club to us got out at 4.
Okay.
So and this was about 30 minutes away. So there'd be a bus that would take us from base to this club, well, to the row of bars or whatever, and bring us back. So there were a handful of times, like a bunch of times, where we would go out, come back at 4 in the morning, take the quickest power nap of your life, you know,
Yeah.
Listerine yourself, deodorant, whatever, and go to work. And everybody that was at work was out the night before. And even like our civilian cooks, they're at the pub, especially if it was during football season, so they're coming back. And then everybody you would see coming to eat was also out the night before too. So everybody just in a world of pain.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you get to a certain age, and you do get to a certain age where you either can't do that, or if you do that, you're just a sad alcoholic.
Well,
Right.
But when you're
Sally,
young, when you're younger, it doesn't matter. You can have fun. you
Right.
know.
So I'm gonna hide my face from the Navy people watching here. But, we used to spend their times up in Tokyo. When I was a young sailor, like I was 20 years old in the Navy, like up to Tokyo all night at the clubs partying, and then I'd catch the first train back. It was like 5 in the morning, and I'd make it just back to the ship to get armed up to stand watch.
Oh, jeez, really?
Like, I mean, swaying back and forth. Like, okay, you're the
Rest easy, America. Your Navy has your back.
hide my face. There you go, guys. I am.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, I am
Yeah.
tired and I'm starving. I'm so hungry. I'm gonna go get some fat-free yogurt
Mm.
and some fruit.
Some ice cream and some
No,
wings.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Not right now, anyway. Anyway, so Sally and Rob and PJ, Kostya, thanks for making the longest episode ever of American Hammers TV.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we should try to break this record, but who knows?
Unless
Well,
there's something really cool to talk about, like something's
It's
happening.
true. It's true. Well,
Whenever football comes back, it's a 3-hour show.
I was
sure.
going to say whenever football comes back, who knows? I feel as though we've gone a lot longer without it, But historians will always remember this moment. So thank you for being part of history. Everybody in the chat room, obviously you guys are fantastic. We love you, and it's good to see Gabe back.
Oh, you guys
and,
go to bed now.
everybody else there. So yeah, all you English people, just stay up. It's like 4 a.m. Just stay up. Just stay up. Watch whatever's on TV at 4 a.m. I like network TV because that's when all the best stuff comes. That's when you get to see reruns of like the Hogan Family and like crappy late 80s sitcoms, So stuff you'd forgotten even existed. Anyway, thank you guys for being on, and I'm sure there's a show tomorrow. I don't really know. As always, come on, you are.
All right.
Man, what a time.